Okay, GM everybody, and we are back with Billy from the blockchain. Billyjitsu, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Sad day today on the Gnosis chain, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, man, indeed, indeed. If you have any the latest insights there, I spoke with Chewy a bit.
Not really, but just for people that don't know, the Gnosis chain was attacked on Agave Finance and Hundo Finance, both lending and borrowing platforms, through an exploit. And unfortunately, all the funds are gone. No, the funds are not safe. So
Yeah,
it's gone. I mean, I mean, everything's still speculation, and still, we still haven't had an official postmortem. But a lot of people have been posting their ideas, and the one that makes the most sense is actually the agave. At least I can only speak for the agave one. I don't know what with Hundo, but I'm assuming the same. Is that the code worked perfectly fine as intended. There was just an unknown thing to check for bridge tokens, which is kind of weird. So like you put the same code on basically Aave on mainnet and it wouldn't have happened. But because we're using a bridge token from the XI chain and the way they bridge the tokens, there was kind of like a weird callback function. So they were able to do reentrancy attacks through the token itself, as far as I can make sense of it. And reentrancy attacks, what that means is like, when you're on MetaMask and you want to, mint something or buy something or swap, you approve it MetaMask and then you just wait. And then eventually you say confirmation and then you get your swap, right? Well, like someone wrote a contract to basically write two writes. So basically, he's depositing money into the platform and then borrowing it on the same flash loan. But he's doing it all before the transaction goes through. So he can do it like a bunch of times before it all realizes it's done. So he's able to steal all the money and take off with it before the transaction realizes it's not fair. In short, like in layman's terms.
interesting.
T Wells, are you
Yeah, yeah,
there?
man, I'm here, man. I muted up for a second to make sure you had the stage there. I do you know if an exploit like this has happened before? Something similar on another protocol, perhaps?
Somewhat similar. It's not something that you would. I mean, I never would have thought of it. Never would have searched for it, honestly. But it did happen to, I think, Cream Finance when they listed a specific token AMP. AMP, there's ERC20 formats, and then there's like ERC777 and ERC677. They have like a different kind of structure to them. So they have this little extra call function to it. So you can do a couple fancy things, and with that fancy things, you can also do fancy exploits in a sense. And unfortunately, luckily for Cream, only their token, that one AMP token, was the one exploited. But unfortunately for Gnosis, it was every wrap token that came in through the chain. So they were all exploitable in a sense.
Interesting. Okay. So in a sense, this is like a chain liability kind of thing. Like there's something in the code that is unique to Gnosis chain that sort of made this possible that otherwise like wouldn't have been the case on say Polygon or mainnet for Aave.
It's just the way the wrapper was done, I believe, in essence. I mean, I don't want to speculate on that or
Okay.
like or point fingers like this is
Yeah.
what it was, but that's what makes the most sense so far of how they were able to get by all the audits and all the other eyes looking at the protocol, because the protocol itself was pretty, I mean, it's been audited, it's
Right.
got a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like they dug under a tunnel under the bank in kind of sense.
Geez. So definitely.
So
Yeah. In that sense, it seems somebody's familiar with the idiosyncrasies of the code here in the Gnosis chain, XDI chain space. Like or do you think that something like this is now going to be attempted potentially on other chains?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like, I mean, now that they know this is an exploit, I'm pretty sure people are going to be poking around on other chains just to see where the exploit is. It
Right.
necessarily isn't a new exploit, but it's just something that I didn't consider. I actually didn't even know much. I didn't even think about it until this thing happened. And most people didn't even know this thing exists. There are probably some
Right.
big giga brains out there that knew about it, but it's just one of those things that out of sight, out of mind. I just assumed it was just a regular ERC20, and there was a lot of assumption, and the code was solid, and all that. I think the team did like a good job with everything. It's just one of these unexpected,
Yep.
unfortunate
Sure.
events. Unfortunately, like
Yeah.
it was paid more to be a black hat than it was to get a bounty.
Yeah.
And that's the crappy part.
What do you think about that in general? I mean, it seems like, I remember there was a joke after in and around the Super Bowl where Coinbase offered, I don't know, $250,000 for essentially bug bounty, and it seemed like, wow, the quantity that would be available with the type of exploit they were expecting somebody to find would be worth far more than 250K, hypothetically.
Yeah, especially with like a platform such as Coinbase that literally would have destroyed them in a sense. I mean, they have
Right,
insurances and everything like that,
right,
but it's not. It was not enough, especially for that case. And you got to have a balance. Like you're trying to run a business, but if it's going to destroy your business, the bounty should be pretty good.
yeah,
It's on a case by case basis. Like some bounties are worth so much, and but if it's something that can absolutely destroy literally a chain or your whole entire structure that you spent like a year building, it should be a pretty decent bounty. But it's something that you can afford. Like if they even paid out $1 million bounty, Coinbase can handle it. Could agave? I don't know. I don't know the finances, but
right,
it's a million TVL, like almost 10% of their TVL, so it wouldn't make sense.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to, I guess it was Paul earlier, or somebody was saying that they had seen some folks from the Gnosis side. I think he had said there's, well, I won't name names, I don't know, because I haven't seen it myself, but he seemed to indicate that there was, some noise, at least on the Gnosis forum, about stepping into backstop. But do you have any sense of that? Like, I haven't spent any time in either, Gnosis chain or Gnosis forums in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't know of anything on there. Like I'm still processing it for stuff. I'm a lot. I'm at a loss for sure on that. NFB's team is pretty much 90% of our treasury was in agave. One to support and one to generate. So it's
Right.
kind of a crap situation. I mean, I lost maybe 6% of my crypto because I didn't go full degen. But literally, like 2 days before, I had pulled some ETH to do some things. Oh, let me drop it in agave, and I'll pull it out like in a week to do something with it. And literally, the worst timing in the world. So that one stung a little bit.
Oh, shiest, man, that sucks.
It sucks, but it's like you got to put it in perspective. A lot of people really lost a lot of
A lot more.
big money here.
Yeah.
And in perspective, like it's like a lot of people really put like their life savings on there, and I really feel for them. Like it's really shitty to have that feeling because if they had like deposited in like Twerk Finance at 1,000 APR, you kind of know what you're getting into. There's a bit of risk on there,
Yep,
but
sure.
you're depositing into like something with 7% agave. It's like all right, they've been around for a while. They're not doing anything crazy. They're not promising any crazy rates. It felt pretty safe, and there's been no noise for a while, and it's been pretty solid. Luigi, the guy doesn't sleep. He's always
Yep,
like
yep,
alive, and
yep.
he's accessible on the Discord. So like, it's not like these guys were lagging or they did anything wrong in their code. It's just unfortunate, and that shit what kind of stings, because you felt it was safe. So it's like now you don't feel safe anywhere you go now. It's kind of a shitty feeling.
It is. Well, I agree with that, man. Excuse me. I sort of just had second thoughts even about some of the other protocols, just for the time being until this, when you first mentioned this morning that there was sort of almost a systemic risk component that extends beyond a specific protocol, that seemed to be a little larger in magnitude. But we want to, it's the nature of the space that these things sort of, I don't know, man, I've had these feels since the summer, right? Where it's like, it would never be somebody making off with the bag. Like, I would be shocked, just shocked. I mean, of course, anything can happen. But relative to other projects, I felt like, less likely due to the community that, that it came out of. And it would be more, it's kind of the way it seems to have unfolded, which is there's something unknown, like an X factor, that isn't possible to pin on an individual or a group of people. It's sort of outside that realm of possibility. But I guess Monstro and Luigi's life has got to be wrecked for the next couple of days at least to get that post-mortem out. That's shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, when I deployed the NFV's contract, I was losing sleep over a couple $1,000s. You know, like, am I going to be able to pay everybody? You know, like, is this contract going to be
And
exploited and all that? So I was losing sleep over like $2,000 to be able to pay out people quickly. I can't even imagine the amount of stress that you have. Like everybody complaining on Discord, everybody calling on, probably
oh my
DMing and
god,
like worried about their money because it's a scary time. But and I believe they're going to do their best to make it happen, but it's for me, I consider the money gone. If we get any compensation back, that would be amazing, but I'm not holding my breath on it
yep,
because
yep,
they still have to fix the problem. Because even if they open up the doors, we got to make sure it's not exploitable again. So it's one of these things. Nobody wants to say "I told you so," but don't invest more, you can lose. But people felt safe, so they probably went a little bit more. So I think that's what really stings the most is
yeah,
they felt safe, and like everybody wants to be smart and like okay, I'm gonna put it here, and it's gonna be okay, and it just told you like this is the Wild West, man, and like there's some random
yep,
dude, some who knows where, and his laptop that just made off with like $11 million. It's insane.
yeah. Only in crypto, right?
But it's yeah, it's one of these things like it's like you can either dwell on what you lost, or for me like it really sucked in the morning. But I was like, fuck, and I really lost motivation. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You go through those emotions in a sense. Like
Yep.
solidity sucks. I hate crypto. But now I'm back. Like I talked to like I luckily was with the hackathon, met a cool couple devs, and then we did some pair programming so for some front end stuff, and it got me motivated again. It reminded me of like what this is about. This is the bad side of decentralization. There's nobody to cry and say, hey, I lost my money, can you get
Yep.
it back? But it's part of the growing pains, and unfortunately, like this is a tough lesson. And even as a dev, like learning this reentrancy attack. Okay, that's the number one thing that people keep saying, reentrancy attack. So I guarantee you, everybody on the Agave team is going to be an expert on reentrancy attacks from here on out. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those mistakes that you've been
Yep.
scarred, so you'll never make that mistake again.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like yeah, I think in a sense, in the mid to longer term, rather than being devs that you would avoid, in some sense, it's interesting. They have a unique exploit experience. Uh,
I mean,
yeah,
I get mad for losing $20 in my wallet,
right.
So
Yeah, I know, man.
it's a little bit of a disconnect because it's all like magic internet money in a sense. Like I still see it in Agave like deposited. I still see the credit, and I guess it can be a tax loss depending on how it all plays out at the end of the year. But it still sucks because it feels like someone stole from you, and you could do nothing about it. It literally happened to me while I slept. And that was kind of the
Right.
shitty part. Like I didn't even watch it happen. Yeah, as I woke up, I said, "Oh, well, I just got robbed."
Straight up, right? Straight up. Uh,
It's I've come to terms with it. Everybody's going to come to terms with it in their own time. It's for me, it wasn't bad. For some, it was really bad. And I really hope there is a sort of compensation plan out there, even if it's a small amount. Getting something back sucks, but like if it's not all, at least it's something. So
yep.
hopefully something
Yep.
gets resolved. But you can't rush it. You can't rush this thing. I'm not
Yeah.
expecting a postmortem for at least a couple days.
Yeah.
People want answers now, but yeah, you can't rush these things, especially for something as tricky as it was for this exploit.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to start or how to help, so I just shut up. I don't even know I don't even throw speculative ideas because it's just one of those things where like
Yeah.
this is out of my league. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, I'm just gonna shut up and let the big brains do it.
Oh, shit. I mean, you think about it, is clearly in the interest of, the bigger parties to at least help. Like I said, if not a backstop, then a full on assistance with forensics, which I imagine
Oh
is already
yeah, I
happening,
mean,
man. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people came together, but that's kind of moot point. Like it's kind of like I crashed my car and I lost this, but like everybody will help you lose your car, but they ain't gonna help you make the car payments to once
Oh,
everything's
sure.
undone.
Yeah.
It, yeah, it's God has got a lot of like responsibilities of like what's here's the reality of it. Like, do you have faith in depositing again? And
Right.
that's a crazy
Yep.
question. Do you have any faith in Gnosis chain? Is Gnosis Chain now in trouble because now nobody will deploy because they're afraid of the token standard now? So there's a lot of things to
That's yeah,
consider on this. So how do you regain trust? How do you regain trust? Now, if they reimburse everybody, that shows good faith, but
yeah,
that's going to cost them a lot of money. Can they afford that? There's a lot
yeah,
of complicated questions to think about how this is going to work. They've just bought it from Stake,
yeah.
so who knows if they're in the red or I don't know any of the financials. We don't know who's on staff, who's not on staff. Was it somebody that was on staff that knew the exploit? We just don't know.
Yeah.
Is it anonymous? Can they find the person? It's such a complex thing. It's been still less than 24 hours, so there's still a lot of dust in the air,
Yeah.
and emotions are high. I'm pretty sure. So I think it's going to take a little while to figure out what exactly happened, and then even after that, come up with a compensation plan. And I think a realistic one that's going to be well thought out and talked to amongst a lot of people. This is going to be something that we won't see for a while at least. And I'm not going to rush it. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure everybody feels a lot of pressure for it, and people lost, you know, more money
Yep.
than they're comfortable losing. But I believe in their best interest and the chain's best interest. They're literally going to do their best that they can do.
Of course. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like the shoring up of developer trust and confidence is as you said is probably the bigger question rather than just like reimbursing people, which has its own complexities and potential for unintended consequences. But the trust part is definitely it'll be interesting to see. Chewy said he was impressed by the war room, obviously, and like as you said, it's sort of at both the developmental and messaging level. We gotta just trust the process of the postmortem and move on with other things in the meantime.
Yeah, again, it's like, okay, now what? That's kind of when anything bad happens. It's like, well, now what am I going to do? It's like, we got to keep building on. The question is, which direction are we going to go with? NFBs basically has 10% of the treasury we had. So
Right.
what do we do? It's a question. So I've been working out of pocket anyway, so like it's nothing really different for me. I was literally yesterday proposing a way for a new project to like help boost and get some more artists in the mix, and get some creative collaborations. And so we're going to figure out how that's going to work out.
Right.
maybe the original IOUs again, but we'll see, because I don't feel like anybody's feeling like spending money right now on the chain.
Well, but you just had the was it the Soulbound drop with the Bright ID, right? Was that on? That
Yeah,
was
with
on Nose Chain, huh?
that was pretty cool. But that was free. It's a that was a pretty cool project, and that's a V1. And I was telling Bright, like, really promote this, because this is a cool concept. I mean, Bright ID has, obviously it's not tied to your wallet. It's tied to your like identity in a sense through the app. So it's a unique way of doing it versus like
Right.
proof of humanity or anything like that. Like non-tradable tokens is nothing new. You basically just modify the transfer function in it, and if something's airdropped to you, then you can't move it. And like, okay, now it's technically soulbound to you. But if your wallet gets hacked, you'll never get that again. What they did is have like a rescue feature. So if your wallet gets hacked and you want that soulbound NFT, you can literally rescue it because it's tied to your
Right.
UID through Bright ID. So you can literally yank it out of that wallet and put it back into your own wallet that you just made. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. Hmm.
It's a good experiment. Like, they just released it. They wanted to see how it worked. And basically it's the V1 version of it. And ultimately they want to have it to become like the standard of, having maybe a diploma or some kind of non-tradable soul-bound thing, like the true proof of attendance kind of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
a degree, or even a DAO standing. So that way, oh, you're part of the DAO. Here's this NFT that's exclusive that you can no longer trade, and then if you get fired or leave, we can just yank it back.
I got it. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So it could be folded in as like a reputation component. Talked to a
There's a
couple
lot of
people on
ways to go
Nintendo
with it,
about
but the
that.
way they
Yeah.
built it, yeah. They do it basically. Their system was basically it's tied to your Bright ID, but that could be forked into different ways where it becomes DAOs or anything like that. But that the primary focus for them is your ID, your token is not tied to your wallet necessarily, because if you lose your wallet, you lose your identity. It's kind of like losing your ID. You're like you're
Right.
you're lost. So they mail it back to you in like 5 to 10 business days. So it sucks for like 5 to 10 business. You're like lost. You can't. I was like, I'm me. But yeah, and then well, I mean, the alpha was we were going to drop, and probably we'll figure it out, but we were going to drop another NFT with the Bright ID Soulbound kind of logo with intermixed. It was going to be a streaming one. It was going to be streamed through Superfluid to the 10 winners that were part of this 10K drop,
Right.
and it was going to be streaming Bright tokens to them on there. So over the month, they began getting about, I would say, estimated about 100 Bright tokens per NFT.
Okay.
And they're tradable. They are no longer tradable once the stream runs dry. That's it. It's stuck to whoever it is. So whoever's got the hot potato at the time, it's yours forever on that point.
Interesting. I like that game theory. So encouraging people.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. NFBs were going to sponsor some of those tokens, but that was before yesterday. Yeah, so we'll figure that out. We'll see what the plan is. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was just something that we wanted to use the funds for, like something for the community, something fun. Just unfortunate. We wanted to not have the funds sit there and generate something on there, and then plan diverted.
I mean, that's the thing. Like the moment you want to start talking about, seeking some yield on passive collateral, or safest place to put it is it would be Seam, right, with an agave rather than one of these others.
Well, But the big conversation that's going to spark now is, okay, well, now we need insurance protocols. Like, I mean, agave, unfortunately, is not insurable through the Nexus Mutual, but Nexus Mutual has been getting some traction for all their calls on mainnet and some Binance chain ones as well. So I have a few insurance on my deployments on mainnet and everything. I have a couple of insurances for that for sure.
Okay.
It's just it's just one of those, like, okay, it's going to cost me 2%. I'm making 5%. So in the end of the day, I sleep better to save my entire amount versus getting 5% and being full degen and then waking up and saying, oh shit.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that, man. Yeah.
But it is the way. But yeah, I mean, it's in a sense, it's kind of like it scares me and then it motivates me too. Like I've just done like 4 back-to-back hackathons, which is like absolutely draining. But it was cool though. Like you like, for me, I forced myself to like get out of the comfort zone, learn a lot. Like the first one is where I kind of got introduced to Superfluid and met all that crew and met a lot of different people with that. And the next one was the ETH Denver one, and I didn't really get a team. It was just kind of soloing it, but still got to meet a few people on the tables here and there that I was sitting next to, and see a couple cool ideas. And then the third one was, gosh, I can't even remember. It was such a blur. The Fluidity one. So I went back to Superfluid and wanted to like build off of it. So we created the DAO starter kit. So, you can bootstrap your DAO selling NFTs with the stream. And that was pretty cool. We came pretty close to completion. I now see a whole bunch of bugs in it, given the exploits. Oh, shoot. But, a proof of concept. Yeah. But, and then this last one is like, I created a whole chemistry, like periodic table. Well, half of it. With the ERC 1155 standard. And so that way I can mint like infinite amount and tie it to a front end and, learn how to like do all these 3D things in the front end using Unity, which is super cool. Like I didn't even know that existed for front end people. So like they have all these pre-built 3D stuff. I thought people were building it from scratch, and I was really impressed. But it's literally just an import of a library, so you can have like your own Minecraft thing. It's pretty cool. Yeah, don't be impressed too much by the stuff you see nowadays. That's just literally a library.
Really interesting. Can you share a link to like a?
I mean, there's some innovative stuff.
Project. What's that?
Oh, Unity. Unity, like literally the Unity build. Like, let me see if I can get one here.
Unity crypto.
Unity real-time development platform. Let's see here. Yeah, unity.com. I'm trying to pull this out as I'm talking. I'll throw it in the One Hive TV link
Yeah,
here.
I see. Okay.
So that's pretty much like a library where you can like just pick up stuff. Like you can literally have your own Minecraft looking area where you're like in a metaverse and just walk around with like
Oh,
blocks
wow.
around, and then as you start molding this, cool.
And this is just all out of the box, huh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some modifications and stuff, but literally you just like import the library and then it's all part of your front end now. It's really cool stuff. Like they're making it easier and easier for devs to come in and like create platforms. But I used to think these guys were like super awesome, but like we pulled that off in like 2 days.
Very cool. Now, you said, is Fluidity a project that you're involved with directly? Or is this something, because I saw that they have, there is a project, fluidity.io.
Oh no, that's just probably the like, when we were talking about it, people were having a hard time wrapping their head around the whole concept of like super fluid tokens. So like someone came in and said, "Hey, we're just going to be Fluidity." I was all right. That sounds like a good name, and that was it. Just by chance or somebody else.
Interesting.
But yeah, like the whole hackathon, like it's really inspiring of like what you can and can't do, and like how people are easily impressed with stuff that's already pre-built. So like it's always kind of like wary. Like I feel like I have a new set of goggles that kind of like I feel like Neo when he put on the glasses and he sees like the
Yeah.
Matrix. Like oh, you can start seeing things like hey, these guys just pulled this fork or copied this code from here. It's not very impressive, but it's impressive for you to be able to do it. But then it's like all right, someone's already done it and you're just kind of copying it. So I'm like
Yeah.
not super impressed in a sense.
And you know what to be impressed by and what not to be, or what to be impressed less by.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like there's this oh man, there is this whole NFT project that I just saw the other day. Gosh, I think it's something code bankers or code brokers. I forget what it was. But they literally deployed all the artwork on chain through encoded SVGs, which is like text to like a bunch of numbers create a color and shape. And so they literally built all the artwork on chain. It cost them, I think, 91 ETH to deploy the entire contract.
Was this
All
the one Luigi was tweeting about?
Oh yeah, that's where I saw it. So
What was
literally
it
everything
called?
lives on chain, can rebuilt on chain. But literally, like you're talking about a $250,000 investment onto a NFT platform in a sense. It's like to deploy just for scope, like to deploy on Polygon, it costs you $5.
Right.
So it's like your commitment to the project isn't really going to hurt too much.
Right.
To deploy on Ethereum and rug people, it's going to cost you about $1,000 in ETH, roughly. So you can throw in $1,000, mint a few mints, and then be able to like walk away decently. But when you put in like a $250,000 into a project, you're kind of really getting deep into that project. You can't just walk away from that very easily.
And you're saying, okay, so just to be clear, the assets that make up these digital images, the SVG files, are actually hosted on chain?
Yeah, they live in the Ethereum blockchain. So
Wow.
like it's you can literally reconstruct it with all the contracts. Like there was another developer that literally reconstructed all the SVGs with the metadata and everything through like a contract. It was pretty crazy.
That is next level. That makes me want to go get one, even though I don't feel like. What is it? Their floor is like 4K.
Yeah, something like that. I'm waiting. I was going to wait. I was literally
Yeah,
going to
dude.
bridge that ETH that I pulled out.
If that comes
That
down
ETH
to
that I
one
had in
ETH,
the
I'm
agave that
definitely
was
gonna buy
pulled
it.
out.
So you go ahead, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that was what I was. Oh, I'm gonna pull this ETH. Oh, let me put in agave when I bridge next week when the gas is lower. So that's what I put into agave to hold for a little bit. And so there goes my NFT.
Yo, sorry, dude. Oh shit.
Yeah,
But
it's just one of those unfortunate. But that is such a cool concept. Like I think, like this is kind of stuff
future,
that
man.
is unappreciated until later. Like I
That's
feel like
right.
it's one of those crypto punks kind of thing where
Yes,
it was
100%.
free, like, literally free to mint like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, nobody really cared. Oh, on chain SVG, whatever, and then all of a sudden it became like a piece of history. Like this is the first time like some people may see it's a waste of 90 ETH, but like I think it's just like an attempt to like fully decentralize everything. So that could be like one of the iconic NFT moments. Like, oh, this is pretty cool.
I agree, man. I like this. Even this one here, the one near the floor, I guess. Yeah, I think you're right, man. Because this is the great criticism I think of a lot of the art on NFTs is that still have you essentially are trusting OpenSea to point to the right, whatever JPEG, and this seems like by its nature it's a different architecture, or it's like a
Well,
different.
yeah, just by the act itself of putting that much money into the
Yeah,
project
yeah,
itself is an act of passion. Like this is not something like,
yeah,
all right, I just rugged everybody I can take off. This
right,
guy literally, or whoever it is, put a big chunk of ETH on there, like more ETH than a lot of people would wish they could attain in
yeah,
their lifetime
yeah,
into just making it fully decentralized. So that's a big step and a big statement in a sense. And so like I think that's historically like people will bring that up in like 5 years. Somebody blew 90 ETH to put everything on chain
yeah,
because he wanted to be decentralized. And then 2 years from now, when people don't renew their IPFS, contracts, and then all those NFTs that they made overnight then go to sleep because they didn't renew it. All
right,
of a sudden, all the on-chain range is a thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, and yeah. That's sweet, man. I remember seeing Luigi tweet about this. And I think I actually found it because you replied to his tweet or whatnot.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept. Whether it's a waste of money or not, I think it's a cool attempt. At least. It could be
Yeah,
the first one. I haven't heard of any other one, and the art's pretty cool. Like I dig the art, but I don't dig the art for 4 ETH.
yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, yeah. I do
It's
like
it's
the
like I'll look at it
style.
right now. I'll right click save.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely cool to look at overview and awesome. And again, like it's just one of those cool projects that like man, that's so motivational to learn. And it's like all right, it's back to coding and stuff. But you know what, T Wells, what my one issue with all these coders and all these cohorts and stuff
yeah.
is they keep putting on like these soft beats and like it's like this soft music that's like I don't know if I'm drugs or something, I don't know. But T Wells, I'm a gangster, okay? I like to be like slanging drugs and stuff. I'm not an anime character listening to fucking like cool beats and shit like this, okay? I need to hear some hardcore shit. So like, all right, I'm motivated.
All right, hell
So
yeah.
any of you hackathon people out there, change the playlist, fam, okay?
Hey man, we gotta do different playlists. We gotta do the playlist for the show. Do
It
you?
seems like that's the safe music. Let me just put some like I don't know, like soft beats or some kind of weird
Yeah,
thing
like
like
let's say
that. Like I've
lo-fi.
never heard of this music. Yeah, lo-fi beats. That's what it is. I'm like, oh man, who made this stuff up? Drug users.
Drug users. Yeah, dude. I think we have to get a playlist sort of in the hopper for the next run, and we can do some intro music and get it rolling with some gangsta.
There you go. That way they know like what they're walking into. Okay,
That's
it's
right.
like when you go take the wrong turn in the wrong neighborhood. You take the wrong turn in the wrong neighborhood, and now you got to drive through it. And now I'm looking
Uh
at you.
oh. See now. Yeah, you took
You
the
want to buy
wrong
this
turn in
contract? You want
crypto
to buy
all of a
this
sudden.
NFT? I put the crip in crypto.
Super shadowy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of cool projects going out there, so
Yeah.
that kind of brings my morale up a bit. Honestly, like it's I mean, I don't want to make light of like people's losses, but it's crying over spilled milk now. It's like it's lost. And
Yeah.
if we do get something back, awesome. It's kind of like throwing a bottle into the ocean. With a note. If it
Yeah.
comes back, it's meant to come back. But if it's gone, that's it. The pirate took it.
It is. The pirate analogy is definitely apt. Speaking of which, man, at maybe a future episode, I don't know if you have any quick thoughts about privacy chains. Like somebody was trying to talk me up on Pirate Chain. I remember I saw it like this time last year. Had done some incredible pump in the bull market, but I don't know if you know about the technicals or if you're any interest in privacy projects.
Well, here's the catch 22. It's like a double edged sword with privacy. I mean, look at Tornado Cash.
Right.
Everybody's like, yeah, Tornado Cash, Tornado Cash. We want privacy. We want anybody to know. And then you get hacked, and then they use Tornado Cash. Then you're like, fuck Tornado Cash.
Right.
We want to be able to
Right.
track
Depends
you.
on what side
So
you're on.
it's like it's decentralization is good for me while it works for me, but then it's bad when when I get robbed or something.
Right.
And we don't want that, but I mean that's the price we pay, and that's what we got to realize. It's not all nice and friendly. I mean there's some real nasty people out here that are really trying to take what you got.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, privacy is good. I think everybody should be entitled to their privacy. Again, you don't tell everybody what you have in your bank account.
That's
You
right.
maybe flash a wallet or a credit card, but nobody knows what you got holding in the bank and your stocks and all that. So you should have the same amount of privacy for yourself on the chain.
Yeah.
So, we want an open ledger, and that's cool, but we should be able to stay anonymous if we want to. And that should be like a right. So I support privacy chains, and it has its flaws, but that shouldn't be the focus. It has both sides to it, So
Yeah.
I think it's your choice, And then the moment they start making you make a decision or having to dox yourself, then you're heading in the wrong direction. That's my opinion. Because if we're gonna do know your client and do all that, well, then I'll just put it in the bank, and
That's
then get
right.
2%, feel safe because it's FDIC insured, So
Yeah.
if you're not beating inflation, then why try? Again, like it sucks to be burned, but it's just one of these like if I just held it and I put it in the bank, I got robbed anyway. I just got robbed from the government.
Way. Yeah. No, it's true. That's a really good
Yeah,
point.
different way. Yeah.
The need to sort of beat inflation, and I have this feeling that it's not transitory, but it's probably unlikely to continue to. I don't know. It could rise, but I get this feeling it's almost like we're going to be in this position where it's just a new normal. Like 7% is just a new normal, and it maybe it doesn't continue to escalate, but it's also not going down, and so it's just as you said, it's a game of sort of beating that higher passive level of inflation, just eating away at whatever capital.
Yeah, it's just crypto gave the opportunity. Like I see like the whole US thing, like think of it like DeFi, okay? Like you find this new DeFi platform and you're getting 1,000 APR, right? So you want to keep it quiet. You're like, hey, don't go in here because I want to max out my APR. Well, now the same thing for accredited investors. Okay, don't let the poor people come in because if they do, they're going to mess up my APR. So they created this gatekeeping where I don't have this much money to play the game, so then I can't play it and make an opportunity.
Right.
And then crypto opened the doors for that. It's like let you $10 or $100 or $100,000, everybody can play the same game. So it gave everybody an equal chance, and I felt that was a good equalizer. And then when they started like blocking like the Venezuela block from Infura, and then everybody was blaming MetaMask. It's just all these games that are being played because people are kind of selling out. The big boys are coming in to play, and they have to comply. And so if they don't comply, then they lose their business, and then they can't eat. So I get that, but the name of the game is still decentralization. So the goal is stay as decentralized, but everybody has their price.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting to see who stays decentralized and then who sells out to live a comfortable life. So we're at a weird point where a lot of VCs are surviving. Like Solana had that huge $1 million hack, and Solana covered it. Agave had $1 million hack, and who's going to cover it? We're decentralized. So like, everybody wants to have a VC now.
That's right.
So it's a tough game. It's really a tough game, and that's it's gonna, if you didn't build your thick skin now's the time to start building it. Like fuck, just wipe off your knees, the scrapes, and then dry your tears and let's keep building, man. That's my forte.
Hell yeah, man. That's the only way forward. I mean, yeah, you just gotta. We used to have a phrase back in when I used to swim competitively, and you had shit you had to endure and you didn't want to, and the phrase was accept and rejoice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, man. It fucking sucks. But that rejoice part is you gotta just sort of find the next milestone that you can learn about or build in this space. And
well, yeah. I mean, in a sense, I was kind of complacent. Like, all right, I'm decent, and like I can just generate yield and be okay. But now that it's taken from me, I'm kind of like shit. Now I got to be more active again. I got to get this back. So that's kind of my mindset. Like I got to be at it back. And like that's the way to do it. Yeah. And like, all right, now what do I got to do? So now I'm even more active. So I'm not leaving the bees behind. Like it's still a skill that the bees will always be my building platform. So they'll always get it first. So it's just something like it's going to benefit whoever bought into it. But, it's like, all right, now that bee's done, like I'm going to branch out to other things too, and like kind of like build my experience and do different things, and meet other people outside of my community so far. Like that's the biggest thing right now is networking outside of my circle.
Right. Right. Yeah, man.
So
Well,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no, no. I would say I think we'll see maybe if there are other people that you want to chat with, either live stream or otherwise. Man, we can shoot for another 2 weeks if there are people that you want to fold in. Um, I
Well,
mean,
it depends on the topic of discussion.
yeah,
Like ideally, it's more about me ranting about stuff because there's so many things like people onboarding and what's the right approach to onboard. Like I tell people, hey, check out this thing, and obviously they hear my story. Like I lost a shitload of money on DeFi. They're gonna be like, fuck that, I'm not going on there. But it's just a sad story amongst a lot of successful stories. But in a short, it's like, well, how do you onboard somebody by bypassing Ethereum? Because again, the first transaction they're going to do is going to cost them like $10,
yep,
$20, and they want to invest $20 to play with. So it's like,
yep,
how do you onboard somebody to like Gnosis Chain or Polygon? Like, how can they go from dollar to Polygon? And usually I end up like funding them, with my own bridge stuff,
right.
and then they just give me some gas, and then they have a little bit of plaything. But that's not expandable. Like we can't,
It's not
we can't
scalable.
grow
Yeah,
off of that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, well, how do you do that? Like, how do you onboard? And until that really happens, until Coinbase or any kind of American company does that, where you can bridge straight to L2, I'm not seeing mass adoption happening with exploration of DeFi projects other than, being maintained on the exchange itself. Like most people that start will probably never leave the exchange and just buy it and speculate for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, the only, and this is where I know it's sort of, some of these things are geo-fenced and it depends on where you're living at. But, I mean, crypto.com allows you to deposit and withdraw USDC, and maybe some other stable coins, but I know USDC for sure from, let's see, I think it's BSC, Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and then maybe another one or two. But so in that case, there is, that is the one that I know of that has a jurisdiction in the U.S. Right? It's mobile first, and you can on ramp fiat from a bank account and off ramp. But you can on ramp and then basically buy USDC and send it and withdraw to a wallet address on any of those. There's I know at least there's Arbitrum as an L2, and then there are a couple of the other side chains or L1s. So it is possible, but again, it's like the trick here in this specific part of onboarding, I think, is figuring out how to make the content or like the path you're describing relevant to as many people as possible, because there may be people who really don't have that easy of a path, or crypto.com isn't available to them, or like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's one of those battles that I have, and it's just easier. It's like, here's $5, dude. Just give me $5 bill. Now you're live. There you go.
Well, this is a question I was wondering. It's like if it, and I know this is something that someone had shared from within One Hive, Sam Caruso, I think, was if you had, so we had the faucet in the past for honey, right? And if you were to restart a faucet of any kind, right, and you were, instead of just starting the faucet and running a marketing thing, if you were to pair it with some thoughtfully, created educational content, um, or in some ways you're able to like deliver some educational content and like verify it, with Bright ID or whatever before they then access the faucet. I don't know. I'm just sort of, we're spitballing here, but trying to figure out ways to like make make the onboarding experience more accessible and like gamifying parts of it. These are conversations that folks at particularly Shapeshift are having now, so that have general import, I think, for anyone or any DAO operating outside of mainnet, as you're saying, because you want to be able to circumvent that. Although right now, I mean, shit, gas has been lower than it has been like a year and a half, I think, probably.
Yeah, I've made all my moves. I can't believe
Yeah.
I actually got a transaction done at like 13 way.
Wild.
Like this is amazing. This is amazing stuff. But it's just like, is it going to stay this way, or is it going to be like a new hot thing? Like when we went back to like 30 way, or like we were hitting 5 for a long time. That's when Shiba Inu came out and like just killed it. And like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen it drop since then because there's just all these new things that keep coming out that just make the gas happen. Like literally one killer DApp kills the entire chain.
Yep. Yep. Well, there will be. Yeah, there will be more. I mean, it looks like we're pumping momentarily. I hadn't checked the markets until recently, but
It's the hacker putting his deposits on DeFi. It's like, it's time to pump.
yeah, dude, send all markets.
That's the lemon juice on the wound right there. Lemon juice on the wound.
Dude, god damn it! It always freaks me out when I see these stablecoin like charts, and in the very far right is just like a vertical line upwards. It's like, what is happening? I know it's not. It's like it must be a distortion in like how it renders on the page, but
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to go for like onboarding, and everybody has their own ideas. Like Coinbase, I just found out like Coinbase has a partnership with like Mexico or something, so now you can literally send money to people in Mexico, and they can cash out in an ATM. I think it's like Welco or Soco or something like that. But I can literally send money to some random family in Mexico, and they can cash out with a small fee, regular cash, and within minutes, and that is huge. I mean that's
wow.
like wow.
Yeah,
So
those
I
off
mean,
ramps are huge, man.
someone figures that out, they're going to make a lot of loyal customers on there. Coinbase is ahead of the game on there with those bank connections. But going back to the UBI, just theoretically, I this was going to be one of my test products, but I don't know how much money I'm going to have to fund it now. But it was kind of be a mixture of Bright ID and an NFB holder. Basically, have an NFB contract that if you had a holder and you verified Bright ID, it'd be like a profit sharing on the amount of the treasury. So
Okay.
3% to the holders, and then 3% would go to the treasury. So then everybody that invested on the B would have at least a little bit of profit share on the returns of whatever investment that we had. But in order to not game the system, not token gate it, bright ID it, so then it couldn't be gamed, and I'd have to account for every token ID. But I was like, all right, it sounds cool, but that just got put on pause.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I might do it with the dummy token just to see how people would go, but I mean, now's not the time to do it. And again, this is going to be like a long project coming, but I wanted to throw the contract out there, and it was basically going to be my free audit because it'd be kind of like a worthless token, but kind of gamify it, where it would be you couldn't cash it out unless you destroy the NFT. So who had the paper hands? Who to destroy the NFT first to cash out, but you would get less because the longer you hold on to it, the bigger the stream. And then whoever cashed out, the stream would get larger for everybody else.
Yo, man, you have some really interesting ideas. I'm gonna have to like write them all down. I mean, they seem in and around sort of the utility of NFTs. Is this in some ways related to the cash flows, sort of transferable cash flows?
Yeah, well, I mean, this like I fell in love with NFTs because I started seeing the utility of what can be done. A token, you can send it to somebody, you can send them back, in essence. Or with the ERC 777, you can hack them too. We just found that out today. but like, there's only so much utility that you can do with the token. You can stake it, and then people can farm it. But literally, you're just sending it somewhere, it's being held, and then it's getting back. With NFTs, like it's kind of like a proof of ownership and like this symbol of something. So you can do more with it. Like it could display art, could display music. You could tie your house to it with real estate, or like rights to something, or a diploma, or it could be a tradable document. So like again, the utilities is like limitless. You put two and two together, you make a website. Like the idea was like OpenSea would have to support it, but if you had your own website and then you created a set of like music NFTs. Yeah. And you bought 10, you could hear the whole song. But if you bought one, you can hear only that one part of the song. Like there's just so many different creative ideas you can do with what's out there. So it's like, like, wow, like, okay, if I bought 3 of this NFT set, they would all animate or form into like one super transformer or something, transformer NFTs or something.
Mm-hmm. Like, so they become
there's just so many things you can do. Yeah. So like, there's just so many things you do. I mean, it wouldn't work in a marketplace because the marketplace would have to support it. So you'd have to build your own marketplace. And I mean, that's out of the scope of my technical skills at this time, but it's just one of those things like it would be cool and it is possible in a sense. Like if you can think of it, it's possible.
Right.
And there's no like SEC down my throat because I'm not making tokens. They're NFTs. It's art. You know, that's my loophole.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I like that.
I think that's why it blew up too, because it's, you know, it's how do you like how do you like regulate art, because now you're messing into rich people's world. Say, hey, you know, you can't do this because my art, my painting that I'm borrowing off of is going to follow under that same rule set. So, you know, we're playing this game of like art values versus the securities, and you know, I think that's part of the reason why NFTs really blew up and DeFi kind of died down, because you started getting all these SEC letters and everything.
Oh, to the DeFi protocols.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so many games being played, you know, and like who's quicker on the pivot, you know. Once you make a rule, I know how to get around it. But if you don't make a rule, then you can just make it up on the fly. You know, that's why I call it the school bully, making up the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to talk about the latest from Biden, some other time, man. But it seems like I don't know. Some people seem to think that this research is going to just lead to some inevitable conclusion that they shouldn't do it, that they shouldn't do CBDCs. But
Oh,
I don't know.
hold that thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to come back on there, but real quick,
What's wrong?
CBDCs in general,
Yeah.
for safety, they offer, you know, FDIC insurance for 100,000. You see a lot of people jumping on that for
That's
sure.
right.
They're willing to give up their privacy.
Yeah.
People are willing to give up their privacy for a T-shirt. Look at the Board Ape Yacht Club. People are like, oh, I don't want to do any. I don't like. They bought out and now they have to do KYC, but they didn't realize they did KYC to get the free T-shirt. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's like people are weird. You know, they go a big fuss over something and then they change the wording and all of a sudden they get crazy.
They're cool.
But I think that people would jump on that without a doubt if there was a FDIC insurance backing of it, dollar backing, and you know, ran by the government. People have that trust, especially with like things like that just happened with the golf. Like it's like you want some safety. You want to be able to like sleep at night and then get some kind of return.
Yeah, well, and it that just seems like it would just compete, right? And some people might have a portfolio spread. It's like, yeah, a portion you want to be insured against smart contract exploit or whatever it is, and so you have whatever wallets that are staking the CBDC for Wells Fargo token, whatever, and
Yeah,
all that shit is
I
tracked,
mean,
and then another part of your portfolio that's in
yeah, I mean,
DeFi,
I spread out my stuff. I'm on different chains. I'm all over the place. So,
right?
but I probably do some CBDC just for compliance and tax. Like, then they'll do the taxes for me.
Well, and you'll probably have an off ramp directly, from whatever chain they're on, hypothetically, right? I mean, I'm sure that's another reason why people might use them is because I'm sure they'll be integrated with existing payment systems seamlessly.
Yeah, yeah. It's something they're gonna like sugarcoat it, and the true decentralized folks will never accept it. The NFT people that made a little bit of money that know nothing about crypto that just want to make money will probably jump on it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people that have always been unsure about crypto will now have a safe reason to just hey, it's 4% return, better
yeah.
than my bank's 2%. Let me get in there.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be another risk reward calculation, and there'll be some. But to me, it's almost like this is what adoption looks like, right? I mean, if the central banks really go in on this, right, the trade offs are obvious, but you know, everybody will have a chance to hold crypto of one kind or another. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it wouldn't be the right crypto in a sense. Like, well, the whole
Yeah.
point of like Bitcoin was decentralization, and then all of a sudden, it's like, well, this CBDC is no longer valuable in Venezuela or something. Like, it's blocked.
Yeah, yeah. They turn up the admin keys, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can freeze USDC, you can
Yeah,
freeze
yeah,
USDT.
yeah.
So, it's just one of those like, oh, how decentralized is it really? I mean, they've only used it for cases of hacks on mainnet, but who knows? All of a sudden, Biden calls you on the phone, hey, freeze this token.
Right.
Are you going to comply or not?
Well, and there's stories of people who have, I mean, whether it's USDC or other, even I think other coins, where through mixers or other things, that people ended up with coins that had some, been flagged being associated with certain wallet addresses, and yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how enforcement happens, because in one sense, I feel like at least the White House, like there is the, I guess is in the rear view for now. And, it's like there was some uncertainty around what the Biden White House is going to do, where they're just going to like, whatever, unchain Gensler and be like, Gensler, go destroy that shit. Or it's more even handed than that, but I don't know. There's still this, I guess, mid to longer term question now of how it's actually going to shake out. But in the short
Well,
term,
don't
yeah.
forget. Never forget they have like $1 billion of Bitcoin down after that New York seizure. So
Right.
you never
Oh
know.
yeah.
It might be a benefit.
Hey man, I mean, let's put it this way. Yeah, to the extent that it's an adversarial set of actors, like it's best not to underestimate them. I just say a lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah,
in
for
crypto
sure.
like to talk shit, about the U.S. dollar, other stuff like that. It's like let's be clear. This ain't no morons, brother. Like they people who bet against the dollar, against the stock market, have gotten wrecked pretty much every time. So you know, we'll
I
just
mean, you have to be a fool not to think that like American government don't have protocols on chain. They're not
yeah,
watching things.
sure.
I think I saw on Twitter like Tornado Cash is literally developed by the CIA. So anybody that's doing bad
Yeah,
actors is like they can literally have your information on file,
they got all
so
your
they can
shit.
come pick you up anytime. So it's not like you can't be naive to think that this is too complex for the U.S. government or any government to do.
Right.
I mean, for all we know, it could have been like a Ukrainian or Russian hacker that needed cash right now, so you just killed the Gnosis chain. Who knows?
Yeah. 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 No, it's true. It's
So
true.
yeah.
We don't know.
So I mean, like if I could pick it up in less than a year, imagine a well-funded CIA group. Come on.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just one of those things that you never think about until you have to think about it. Like, oh shoot, like, oh man, those are like probably like drug moments or something. But I don't do drugs, so I don't know.
Don't do drugs. Right on.
But I can understand why people do it. Like when I was coding, I was like, God damn, how do people get creative or stay creative when you're all burnt out? And like, it's like I was just I drink water. That's really pretty much it. So I was like, what do people do? I was like, I understand why people do drugs now to keep them moving.
Here and there. I think you're probably right. Probably right, dude.
It's just so crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy this space because it's totally, in essence, it's still anonymous. So we just don't know who we're dealing with. You don't know who the hackers are. I was pretty impressed with that other hack. That gosh, I forget who they stole from, but they literally tracked him down from like a blog post this guy wrote in like 2012 on
Oh,
some like high school like report, and like they literally tracked him down to like to where he lived and stuff. It was pretty insane.
which project was this?
I don't know. It was one of the big projects because I know like the War Room had guys from Urine Finance and like Compound, and like there
Mm.
was just like a bunch of like really really smart people in that room, and they literally tracked the guy down, whether they got the money back or not, or whether they got lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
or whether they went muscle guys in there, hush hush. I have no idea, but the way they tracked this guy down was like insane from like a blog post based
Mm-hmm.
on like something way back when that you never would have thought of.
Yeah, some of those forensic geniuses. I knew a fellow who got into
This
that, not
guy,
in the blockchain space, but the more sort of cyber forensics folks definitely have their methods, man.
yeah, it's crazy. You could be peeing on the corner of a thing, and there's a camera that caught you, and now you're on a database forever. Now.
Forever.
That's it. There he is. That's the P man.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing, man. But yeah, I mean this space is always moving, always like, if you're not learning it, then get out.
Yeah.
If you're not learning from your mistakes, they always say if you haven't get rug once, you're not truly in DeFi. This was a big rug. I felt like I went from the Aladdin ride.
That's true though. You gotta
But
cut your teeth on one or the other.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, I used to skateboard. I used to do like a lot of martial arts, and you get a lot of bumps in the road. And if you quit on the first time someone bumps your head, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So whether it was tough or really low, I mean, it's just take your breather. Catch your breath, compose yourself, and get back in the game. This is not a good reason, like, to not be in the game. You came in for something. You came in for opportunity, and still there. I don't want to say we're still early, but I think we're enough to get a little piece of the pie. But stay at it, man. Like, this sucks, but you're still alive and you still got your health, so fuck it, keep going.
Hey, man. Wise words, sir. I agree. I think it's a good place to pause for this evening. Just keep trucking, folks. Keep your head down, and good things will come. And perhaps in 2 weeks, Billy will be having a way to constructively talk about the postmortem and share some other good bits about building in the space here and staying smart while you're doing it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you got a couple tidbits. Hopefully you got like a little laugh here and there. Have a good night, guys.
Hey, yeah, Billy. Always good to chat, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Cheers, dude.